money. Moolah. The great kaploop-plop. That's probably not a term for money. But anyways, money is important in everywhere. In real life, I mean, Chris likes, making money here. So he's got to make some videos for you guys. But today, we're talking about imaginary money. Kind of. Money in Bloons Tower Defense 6. And this money that we're talking about is going to be made. This is kind of interesting. Normally you do like a full-on mint or something like that to make money, but no. In Bloons world, we don't need that. We can sell bananas. We can make money with bananas, which is probably the most interesting thing in the entire history of the world. So you're going to notice two things going on right now. Not just one. It might look like a mirror image of each other almost. But what we've got going on is on the left side of the screen, we're going to build only top path banana farms. On the right side of the screen, we're going to build only banks. And we're going to compare the amount of money that we make in each one of these scenarios. Because we have to talk about something called efficiency rating and the efficiency of banana farms. But before we get there, I do want to mention really quickly that even though you do see things as a mirror image, they are not 100% identical. I do my best here, but I do make a few mistakes here and there with buying things kind of at the wrong time, and or it's just the way the rounds get played a little bit. Sometimes they play a little faster on one side, and sometimes they play a little bit slower on another side. But I tried to make sure that they always ended up matching up right when we check the amount of money we're going to be making. We're going to be checking the amount of money we're going to be making on round 40, round 50, round 60, round 70, and round 80, giving us 5 data points for us to kind of check out and see which banana farm is truly better and by how much. So, again, if you notice that I build a banana farm before another banana farm or build a tower before another tower, it's not because I actually built them before. Everything is built up on the rounds, not necessarily on the timing of it. And that is very, very difficult to get them identical on timing. Just want to throw that out there. So, anyways, we got to talk about efficiency. It's a made-up term. I think actually I made it up, I think, a long time ago, and it just became a thing. But I guess I can't for sure say that I did that because I don't know. It's kind of a thing. But efficiency. Efficiency is the idea that you can somehow math out how good a banana farm is. Because how do you do that? This banana farm, is it better than another banana farm? And you can do something with this with math. All right, math, I know it's tough, so I know a lot of people hate math out there. There's probably some of you guys out there that are like, oh, I just took Calculus 3 and finite mathematics, and I'm feeling great. Well, okay, good for you. But I took calc, and I don't know anything about calculus. All I know is I can find a limit, I think, maybe at this point. That's about it. So anyways, I did some math for you guys, and the efficiency rating of something is very simple. All you do is you take the total cost of that tower and its upgrades, and you divide it by the amount of money that it makes in a round. So for a base banana farm and on hard, it does matter which game mode you're on. If you're on easy, it'll be a slightly higher efficiency rating because you're just buying less banana farm but making the same amount of money. But if you play on hard, it costs $1,325 for a banana farm, and then you divide that by the amount of money you make in one round, which is $80, and you get 16.56. All this means is that it takes 16.5 rounds for you to pay for yourself. Okay? It's a mathematical way to approach how good a tower is. If you want to talk about a 2-0 banana farm, we're going down into 15.7 territory, which is even better. And then weirdly enough, as you go to a 3-0 and a 3-2, you go up to a 17.9 and a 16.69. It's kind of weird. But basically you're saving space so you get less efficiency out of your banana farm. It's weird that Ninja Kiwi did this, but that's the way they did it. And then, again, interestingly enough, a 4-2 because you have to make such a large quantity of jumpage. With the amount of money you need to spend on that guy, it jumps down to a 14 efficiency, so you have a fairly efficient banana farm. 4-2s are your goal as far as top path banana farms go. And then we have to talk about banks. So we just talked about 14 to 17 or so. Banks have an efficiency of between 7 and 9. Incoming! Wait. 7 and 9, Chris. Now that is pretty frickin' ridiculous. that's half or twice as much money, basically. What? Twice as much? I mean, Chris, there's no frickin' way that Top Path Banana Farms can keep up with an efficiency rating half of another banana farm. Well, hold on. That's what we're testing out today. So, we're on round 40. First thing you'll notice is we made $24,521 with our bank side, and on our left side here, we made $20,095. So, technically, we are doing worse with our Top Path Banana Farms, but not twice as worse. It's not 12 to 24. It's 20 to 24. Okay. That is interesting to know. And interesting to note. So we continue on. We struggle along, and we do the exact same thing. So I should mention that when we did this, we are not trying to do this based on the amount of money we're making on round 40 or on round 50 or on round 60. We're not competing by, trying to not waste our money by building things at the wrong time. We're just building things. We're trying as best as we can to make more money long term, not in the short term. And I know that's probably a weird distinction to make, but it is important for this test. Especially if you know what I'm talking about. Because as you build things, especially if you build them like on round 40 when you're right before you sell it, you're going to seem like you have less money, right? But you don't actually have less money. You just invested it, and when you sell things, you lose a percentage of that money. So we could lose 15% of our money by selling kind of at the wrong time or buying at the wrong time. Anyways, somewhat irrelevant. All we need to know is right now, the banks are indeed winning. So, efficiency. It's such a weird freaking concept, dude. And what I want to do is, for the next, couple minutes, all I want to do is try to explain why efficiency is not the end-all, be-all numbers game of Bloons Star Defense 6 money. It doesn't give you the full picture of what is going on. So let's talk about it. All right, if you have money stuck in a bank, for example, a bank needs $9,500 to get the max amount of your money out. If you have Ben, I know it's different, but without Ben, it's $9,500. So the question kind of becomes, where is this discrepancy coming from? Why is it half as much, technically twice as much efficiency? Well, no, half as much efficiency, twice as good of a tower, but ends up not being twice as good. Well, it's because your bank money is stuck. It's stuck there for like 10 rounds. Your banana farms are not stuck. So all of that money, you're going to notice that the amount of money that we actually have is going to stay very, very low on the left side, where on the right side, technically I still have the ability to buy more banks, and it's still technically going to be low, but we're going to have huge chunks of money all at once. We have to kind of spend all away. In addition, we have a little less mobility with our money. So, okay, here we go. We're on round 50 now. We just beat round 50, and you notice, ooh, banks still winning it. 60K to 50K. Okay. Okay, so that is, again, a decently significant number that we have to deal with here. It's not that banks are, again, winning by twice as much, but they are winning with third-tier banana farms. We have not built any fourth-tier banana farms yet, the more efficient banana farms. So I'm curious, as we go deeper into this game, by buying more fourth-tier banana farms, will we be able to sort of keep up with the banks? Now, a lot of people might argue that this is somewhat of an unfair matchup. How can you have fourth-tier banana farms versus third-tier banana farms? It's because banks don't really have a fourth-tier option. But if you just want to know in sort of the short-ish term, if you were going to build banks, look at the numbers that we've already dealt with. If you don't want to see what fourth tiers have to add into the game, look at what happened between around 30 to 40 and 40 to 50. Even-ish numbers within about 10% or so. Once we get fourth tiers, we're going to see if we're going to still keep up with that kind of base idea here, or if things are going to change completely and we're going to end up just start owning the banks, and the banks are just going to fall off completely and just be garbage at the end of this. Another thing I want to talk about really quickly is the amount of money that we made between these rounds. So I should mention we're being fairly efficient with our defense. We're not spending a ton of money on copious amounts of towers here. We have like $8,000 worth of towers to defend, which it's kind of crazy to imagine that we can defend everything with this lowly amount of money. But To jump from round 40 with the banks to around 50, we made more than double our money. We went from $24,000 to $60,000. Will that mean that we're going to double every 10 rounds, jumping from 60 to about 120,000 in the next 10 rounds, and then jumping from 120 to 240, and then jumping from 240 to about 500,000 or so? That would be pretty cool, I got to admit. But I don't know. That seems kind of crazy if we could really do a doubling every 10 rounds, doesn't it? All right, so here we go. We've got another round matchup coming up pretty soon up in here. I again did my best with these upgrades, but I ended up buying the cannon a little early on the bank side, and ended up buying a little bit late on the other banana farm side, so please forgive me for that. But we're about to get our numbers here for round 60, basically. And I had to do it live, because it was crazy. But I got 124,000 for the banks. And on the left side here, we're going to end up with 116,000. So fairly close. Again, now we're $8,000 difference. That's not much at all, actually. In fact, the percentage that the banks had an advantage on us actually went down. Ooh, whoa. I mean, we must be just start blowing these banks out of the water. It's losing its advantage on us. It's got to be these 4th years, bro. It's got to be. Or maybe it's because I forgot to build my cannon at the right time. I know you can argue with me if you want to. But everything right now is exactly the way we want it to be. Things are getting spicy. Things are getting interesting. And I am, honestly, curious to see how this is all going to go down in the end. I want you guys to predict who is going to end up winning at the end of this challenge here. Will it be the banks, or will it be the top path banana farms? I don't want to give it away. I don't want to give it away. I guess it's important to talk about the bottom path banana farm in all of this. Like, where is it? Why isn't it in this challenge? Does it really matter here? And I'll be straight with you guys. I think that the bottom path banana farm is going to be pretty even with the top path banana farm. There's really not that big of a difference. The only hurdle you really have is to buy a marketplace. It costs like $3,000, and you have to buy a somewhat inefficient low-tier banana farm to make that happen. So if you're going for a marketplace as your first banana farm, probably not the best idea, but you can easily make it happen. All right, like, do not get me wrong. Now, oh my God, let's talk about that in a second, but look at this. We just got $135,000 all at once. So I didn't pause. All right, I could have paused in between a round, collected all my money, and just started upgrading, but instead, I did my best to just upgrade as fast as I possibly could. That's what I did. I upgraded as fast as I possibly could. You can see it's kind of off the screen right now, but I am building banks all the way in the corner there, and I am taking up, I believe that I used up probably about 95% of my total banana farm space by the end of the game here. I probably could have, you know, squeezed in a couple more banana farms here and there in a couple different spots, but I definitely did not go crazy with it. I didn't expect to fit this many banana farms on the screen in the first place. Also, do want to touch on the 4th year banana farms in just a second here, to kind of compare them and why I didn't end up building any in this challenge. Before I get there, let's talk about, again, the marketplaces. So the marketplace is, in my opinion, the top tier banana farm. I love it because it's so easy. It's simplistic. You don't have to touch it. You build it. You don't build banana farms. You don't build banana farmers. You don't have to worry about bananas flopping out and missing them or something like that. They are foolproof. In addition, if you have monkey knowledge, they give you the lives. And even though that seems like such a stupid, idiotic thing, it helps so much. And the only game mode that doesn't actually help you out is, of course, on Impoppable. So, whatever. All right, check this out. We are very close on money again. We are within $12,000, but again, the bank is still edging that lead. I honestly thought the bank was going to start to lose at this point, but it has not. It is still continuing with that lead, about the same percentage, roughly, than 10% or less at this point. And this is with the 4th tier banana farms becoming pretty prevalent in our game over here. I mean, I can build more, obviously, but I can't go too crazy with it. As far as 4th tier bottom path banana farms go, same thing. I still think they're pretty efficient. Some of the better banana farms, and if you do have to sell them, they're going to give you that slightly better bonus sell back, which I mean, if you're playing any game where you have a bunch of banana farms at the end of the game, it must have not been difficult. You should have to sell your banana farms by the end of the game to get that money back, otherwise you over-farm. And I know that's a thing that people are like, well, I don't care that I had $100,000 left at the end of the game. But that means you overdid it. I mean, you made the beginning part of the game harder, the middle part of the game harder, the end part of the game harder because you were just too greedy. You just wanted more money. And there's nothing really wrong with that necessarily, but it just is a thing that you should note, okay? Now, as far as 4th tier middle path banana farms go, again, upgrading to a, what's the name of it? The IMB or whatever it's called, the middle path bank. The problem with it is that you do need to use that ability, and it's going to make things a lot more tricky to test, and people are going to think things are a little more unfair, especially if I start spamming like 30 of them, and then you end up with all this debt at the end of it, and it gets really confusing and convoluted and sort of weird, and generally speaking, it's probably better to stay away from that upgrade completely unless you need money right now, because you go into debt. I don't know. I've never actually done the true tests with 3rd tiers versus 4th tiers and like who is more efficient, but I just find the 3rd tiers easier and kind of like more useful to work with, I guess, at this point. So do not feel bad about going for just 3rd tier banks. Don't feel like you need to jump up to the 4th tiers. If you are going to jump up to the 4th tiers, usually the best option for that is a slowdown technique. And what that means is you're going to use towers that are going to slow things down, keep Bloons on the screen for a little longer, and that means boring. So you got to use ice towers and blue towers and random other slowdown heli pellets that send things backwards, whether it's a downdraft or a Comanche Commander or whatever. Just keep things on the screen for a long time, and then you can use those abilities more and more. Obviously, you can't do that against boss Bloons, but against regular old game modes, you can do that strategy, and it can be super duper duper efficient and effective. But it means that you do have to sort of like make your strategy and revolve it around it, instead of just sort of going for it and just doing things. All right, we're coming up on our last set here, our last answer to everything. And again, fairly intrigued. I will say that this was almost perfect timing for my banks. Just about perfect timing, because I think every single bank here had max monies at $9,500 instantaneously, and we get to do all the sells here. And after all the sells for all the banks here, we end up with a whopping $500,000 plus 525,816. Unfortunately, and oddly enough, not as much with the left-sided top path banks. About $60,000-$70,000 difference. If you guys learned anything, press that like button, man. I'm very intrigued. I liked this video. If you guys like this kind of concept and this idea, make sure you press that like button, make sure you subscribe, and then of course, last thing guys, use my creator support code. It really does hook me up and help me out a lot. Thank you so much, and have a super duper delicious day.